Good morning and welcome to a new reading vlog. Hello, my name is Hannah if you're new here. Nice to have you. Eagle-eyed among you, if you've been here before, will not recognise this background. I'm actually down south visiting family this week. So I'm coming to you not live, recorded from Sussex. Now, this reading vlog is the first one I'm doing. I filmed a video a couple of weeks ago, which I will insert down below. I have a plan for tackling my TBR, and the plan for tackling my TBR is that I'm going to set myself these challenges to read certain books or like certain themes, and I've put all the little prompts in a jar and I pull them out, and then I vlog my experience reading some books that meet that theme. You're with me? So I pulled out 3 to start with. And I hadn't decided at the end of that video which one I was going to do. You'll probably know by the title of this video that the prompt that I've chosen is I just want to have a lovely, wholesome time. Because I figured I'm down south. I'm not on holiday because I am still working, but I am in a slightly different environment. The sea is like 100 yards that way. So I figured wholesome might be good for me. It's also just been, I've had a bad reading month so far. I've barely read anything. May and June are my busiest work times normally. So yeah, we had a very, very long drive down from Newcastle yesterday. I realised when we got here that I left my tripod at home, so that's why you're shaking a little bit. I will try and come up with a better solution than me just holding the phone at some point during this vlog. Because yeah, I am an amateur and I do just film on my phone. So I thought I would very quickly talk to you about some of the books that I was swapping arms, thinking about reading for this vlog. It's not a straight up TBR because TBRs tend not to work for me, because as soon as I tell myself I have to read a book, all of the desire to read the book disappears, because I don't like to be told what to do, even by myself. So some of the books that I've grabbed off my shelf that I thought would fit this prompt are, so a non-fiction book. This is Many Different Kinds of Love by Michael Rosen. Now, I do believe this to be wholesome, but I do also believe, it's Lewin in the background, I do also believe that this book is going to make me cry a lot. This is sort of a memoir, but not really. It's a reflection and a kind of collage of writings. Sorry, you can see my hand on the side there. Oh, God, she's an amateur. Right. Yeah, so it is, Michael got COVID early on in the pandemic and was really, really poorly with it. So this book is about his reflections on that, but it's also, I think, got like parts of his medical records, and it's things that like the nurses would like leave little notes for him and stuff when he was unconscious. So I've heard wonderful things. I do think it's going to be wholesome, but I also think I'm going to cry. And then I have For One More Day by Mitch Alborn. This is one of these books that's just been sat on my shelf for I think like 5 or 6 years. I have no memory of buying it. So I think I must have like taken it maybe off of like my parents' bookcase or something. But I've read The 5 People You Meet in Heaven, which is incredibly wholesome. And I assume that this will be more of the same. So it's just a thin little slip of a book. I'm not going to do blurbs now because I'm probably going to be reading these books in these videos. The next one I've got is a queer sort of YA period novel. This is Infamous by Lex Croucher. And I picked this up. The reason this is especially wholesome to me is I actually went to the same school as Lex. I was a couple of years above them. And we're not in contact now. I don't know them. I'm not like name dropping like, oh my God, I'm pals. Because we're not. I don't know them. But I did know them 20 years ago. So when I saw the name, I recognized it and I Googled it and was like, is that Lex Croucher? And I was like, oh, that's just cool. Like, it's so awesome that like they've written a book. Yay. So this is, I think, like giving me like queer Pride and Prejudice vibes, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's a very different type of book for me, but I knew with this prompt that it would be reading a lot outside of what I normally read, because wholesome is not a word I would use to normally describe my reading. The other one I do have to read this. This is A Psalm for the Wild Built by Becky Chambers. A sort of, is it climatey, bit sci-fi-y. It's got a monk and a robot. But this is the May book for the book club that I'm in, Queer Books Newcastle. So I do have to read this, but it's a dinky little novella. So I think I might be able to just like read this in one sitting. This is probably, not definitely, but probably going to be the first one I read. And then last but not least, this isn't one that I'm probably going to read cover to cover. Oh my God, it's exhausting to hold a phone. This is Life Support, edited by Julia Copus, and it's 100 poems to reach for on dark nights. This was gifted to me by my friend Evie. And yeah, it's just lots and lots of poems for comfort and for, you know, those middle of the nights when you think you might be the worst person in the world, or you're having some kind of existential crisis. So I think there will be some reading of this, but you know, it's a poetry collection and it's an anthology, so I'm probably not going to sit and like read it cover to cover, but I might read a couple of them a day. I may read you a poem a day. Who even knows? Hey, this is a very backlit editing Hannah to let you know straight up, I don't touch that book in this vlog. I will not be reading you a poem. Apologies. But right now, I've done the dog walk and I have to start my actual work. I will insert some footage here of some dog walks that we did on the way down, because it was a 300-mile odd drive. And we have a very anxious dog, so we can't just like take him to a service station. So the way we do long journeys is we have to find like genuine actual dog walks on the way. So we went to, just in case anyone else is in the same situation, we favour Wickersley Woods, which is just outside Rotherham, and Stokewood, which is in Oxfordshire. They're two good stop-offs, quite near main roads, not much of a like detour, but it's like proper nice little like woody walk. So insert that here and I will catch up with you when I have read something. Bye. Good boy. to remember to do this. Either I'm blind or you can't see me. So I have not done much reading since I last spoke to you. I chatted to you on Friday morning. It's now Sunday morning. I had absolutely no time to read yesterday, except for a little bit in bed, but I was very, very tired. So, I have read 100 pages of Psalm of the Wild Will, and I'm enjoying it. I'm sorry, I don't have any idea if you're going to be able to hear what I'm saying over this wind. Maybe this is... I should be captioning my videos anyway. But yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. It's cute. I had a little panic at first because some of the issues I have with and I mean personal issues, not like things I take issue with, but like some of the problems that I personally encounter because of who I am as a person. When reading kind of fantasy or sci-fi is like sometimes the way you are introduced to the world and concepts feel a little overwhelming. And I never know, because I'm not someone who reads a lot of fantasy, so I'm not very skilled as a reader at working out what's important and I should remember and what to just let myself gloss over, and so there was a prologue that I think was objectively good but made me panic because there were lots of words in it that I didn't understand, and for me it's just not a very it's an intimidating way to start a book, let's just say, but that's just me. And I know from watching booktube content of people who do read a lot of fantasy that is a real skill that you learn as you read more fantasy and sci-fi, that you get good at picking up on. Now that's probably not important then. This is something that I'll file away. But I'm enjoying it so far. So it is set in a world where at some point in history all robotics and machinery woke up. They all became conscious. And so the sort of human reliance on technology broke down from that point because these robots were conscious, they were alive, and so there was a parting, and basically humans took, was it half or a third of basically the land, and then they left everything else. They basically said to the robots, look, you can, if you want, you can choose to live with us and we're not going to make you do anything or make you serve us or anything, or you can go out there into the wilderness and you can create your own community. And all the robots went, yeah, I think we're going to go create our own community, thanks very much. And so that's what they did. And we start by following Sibling Decks, who is a monk, and they're 29 and they're having a classic 29-year-old crisis, even in these far-flung futures or distant planets or whatever. I mean, a 29-year-old's still going to have an existential crisis regardless. So instead of doing what monks would normally do, I'm not clear on what it was that Sibling Decks would normally be doing, but instead of doing that, they decide, I'm going to become a tea monk. Now, a tea monk is someone who basically has a little stand and travels around, and people come up to them and say, oh my god, my boyfriend broke up with me and I'm having a terrible time. And they make you a specific blend of tea, and then they sort of chat to you for a little bit, and then you go off and drink this tea. And that's what a tea monk does. But crucially, it's outside of the city walls. It's all of the bits outside the city that are kind of between. I'm going to try and perch here for a bit if Lewin will let me, so that I can have some reasonable quiet. Oh goodness, look at her. Wow, it is windy today. Yeah. So that's Sibling Decks. They're going off on a journey to become a tea monk, and
they encounter along the way the name of a robot has completely escaped me. Oh, fuck. This is what happens when I read before I go to sleep. I can sort of remember what happened, but not the name of the fucker. Oh. Well, so Sibling Decks is obsessed with the sound of crickets because crickets have died out in the city. They're not there anymore. But they've got these kind of, they call it pre-transition from before the machines woke up. And they're obsessed with the sound of crickets. And there's recordings from before that time. And so they do the T-Monk thing for a bit. They get really good and people are loving it. And then because they're 29, they think this can't be my purpose. I must have a higher purpose. And so they decide their purpose is to go and find crickets and hear crickets chirping in real life, I guess. And so they go even further out into the wilderness to try and find the crickets, and they encounter a robot called something to do with moss, I think. But yeah, it's cute. I can see some people really, really love it. It's comfy and cozy and lovely, and it is definitely hitting the wholesome thing. I've seen some criticism that it's quite thinly veiled philosophy. Now that doesn't bother me so much. That essentially a lot of the book is either Sibling Decks wandering around thinking about things, or Sibling Decks and the robot talking to each other about things. I'm finding it cute. I'm finding it interesting. I'm 2/3 of the way through. There's a lot in there about nature and humanity and how we treat the world around us, our sense of innate superiority over all things, all that stuff. Yeah, it's good. I'm gonna go now. I thought I was gonna be alone today and would get lots of reading done, but that's not the shape of the day now. So I don't know when I will next be updating you, but I am hoping to get some reading done because I am fast running out of time to actually read something for this vlog. So I'm trying not to treat it like a deadline. I really am. Catch you later. The robot's name is Moscow.
Hello, it's Monday evening. I haven't re-watched the clip that I tried to film at the beach, so I actually don't know if that's usable. Let's assume yes. And I have some reading updates for you. Firstly, I finished reading A Psalm of the Wild, built by Becky Chambers. I liked this. I did like it. It was really cute. I definitely see why it's not for everyone. Because it is quite, like, the philosophical questioning and reflectiveness of this book are very thinly veiled. So a lot of the points that Becky Chambers is talking about are explored through conversation between the monk and the robot. So, you know, you have to be sort of okay with that, I guess, as a structure for you to be able to enjoy it. But I thought it was sweet. It's not my favourite thing that I've ever read, but I'm definitely interested enough to read the second one, because this is the first of is it a duology or is it a continuing series? I'm not sure. This was definitely like doing that thing that a lot of first books in a series do, where it is about setting up, I think, the ongoing world. But I think that's quite hard to get away from in a series. And it was interesting. It was very much about, you know, the kind of our search for purpose as humans, and it's sort of like this concern that we have that we should be doing something other than being and existing and trying to do that fully. This idea that we should have a purpose that is sort of like external to us, like we should be striving towards something specific, or we should have a goal all the time. And it kind of looks at that, and how even sometimes when we consciously know that that's not really what we need to do to live well, and we kind of like, or at least I can kind of like rationally and objectively understand that how to have a happy life is to fully embrace the experience of it in the moment. Like, that's still quite hard to do sometimes when you feel like you should be doing like a thing. Do you know what I mean? There's I can't remember if it's her quote originally or if it's something that she borrowed, but there's a lovely woman who works in the education and leadership space called Maggie Farah, and she talks about how, you know, we're human beings, not human doings, and if we were supposed to be human doings, we would be called human doings, but we're not, we're human beings, and so we should just get comfy with being. But yeah, I liked it. I do think there were some bits that structurally didn't quite work for me. It's quite like the actual plot is very simple and not a huge amount happens, but I did find that sort of you're almost like, this is the episodic thing that's happening here, and this is the conversation we're having, and this is the next episodic plot point thing that we're having, and this is the conversation that we're having. I mean, it's not as like clunky as that makes it sound, but essentially that's the structure. And I did find that I wasn't connecting always the plot point with the conversation. So at one point, right towards the end, I was reminded of something that I thought I'd underlined earlier in the book, and I couldn't find it because I had no sort of grounding for like when that conversation had taken place, because it kind of could have been in any of the chapters. That is a very Hannah lost the plot problem. But yeah, there were a couple of bits like that where I think when you've got a book that is a lot about discussion and it's a lot about the same people discussing, that sometimes it can be quite hard to like navigate that as a reader, and to always know like, oh yeah, that conversation happened at that point because I found I had to work a little bit hard to sometimes join the dots a bit, but I thought it was real cute. And then I am nearly finished Sunshine, Many Different Kinds of Love by Michael Rosen, and I am loving this. So Michael Rosen, as I'm sure you're aware, is a beloved children's author and poet. He wrote, you know, poems like We're Going on a Bear Hunt, etc. And he contracted COVID early on, actually, in the pandemic, and he was very, very ill with it. He was actually put into an induced coma, and this is sort of his reflection to that. I'll try and hold this in a way that it stops glinting. Yeah, almost his reflection on that, but it's told as a poem, or as a collection of poems, untitled poems, So you can see just sort of blah, 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 blah. And it moves through chronologically. So the first section is called Feeling Unwell, and then the second section is Going to Hospital, and the third section is Induced Coma, and then he has his recovery after that. But it's so moving. When he was in his coma, they were worried that he wasn't going to wake up. He was in it, I think, for maybe 30 days, maybe 40 days. And while he was in the coma, he was constantly being monitored by people, obviously. And obviously at that time, if you recall, lots of different healthcare professionals were being redeployed to the ITUs and ICUs to kind of help with the demands on the NHS at the time. And so there was this patient diary, and while he was in the coma, everyone who came and looked after him would write like a little note in it, and it was sort of like, "Hi Michael, like today we moved you onto your back and blah 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 blah, and we spoke to your wife and she said blah blah blah," and all of these like different healthcare professionals. So lots of people being like, "I'm a retired nurse and I came back," or a lot of people who were physiotherapists who were then working in the ITUs. And it's just an incredible testament to the kind of the healthcare profession during that time. I think it's really easy to forget when you kind of largely have come out the other side of the pandemic, although obviously we know it is still ongoing for some people, more than others. It's not entirely back to normal, but yeah, it's been really sort of affecting and heartwarming, and has made me want to cry at points, but also really laugh at points. There's kind of two sections to his recovery. He sort of deals with the physical recovery of it, and the section I'm in now, which I think is the last section, is really more about his sort of emotional and mental recovery, and him really coming to terms with the fact that he was really, really, really very ill, and he sort of wakes up and he's lost these kind of 2 months of his life, and he is really angry about it. And he's lost the vision, or he's got really, really blurred vision in one of his eyes, and in one of his ears he can't really hear out of it. And so he is forever changed by this experience, both physically and sort of emotionally too. And it's just, I mean, he's a beautiful poet anyway, but it's just really, 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 really wonderful. And it's sort of it's really interesting because he wrote that the poem "These Are the Hands," which sort of became this kind of like anthem of support for the health service during the pandemic. And he'd actually written that for the 60th anniversary of the NHS, so that had been written prior to the pandemic. And this copy of the book, it sort of finishes with that, and then he's carried on writing poems about his recovery, which in the paperback edition they've put a few extra poems in as well. But I can tell it's the sort of book that I am going to re-dip in and out of. I'm loving it. I'm really, really, really enjoying it. I've been sort of like having to like consciously slow myself down from reading it a little bit. But yeah, really recommend it. Really, really recommend it. So there's that. And I have also started, because I've been trying to go a bit slow with the Michael Rosen, I've also started Infamous by Lex Croucher. And this is cute. This is a romp. I do not read a lot of this sort of style of book. It is it YA? I mean, the main character's 22, so yeah, sort of just edging on YA, about these two friends, Eddie and Rose, who are growing up in the sort of upper middle classes, and Eddie is a aspiring writer, but it opens with the two of them practicing their kissing with each other, and so there's a kind of will they won't they queer thing happening here, but also there is a male poet in here who is very, very obviously modelled on Byron. Lex Croucher's got like a great writing style. It's really funny. It's a really good kind of sort of like Austen. It's kind of like, it's like a rom-com, but like written in sort of today speak. I mean, it says on the front, Booksmart meets Bridgerton. I have seen Booksmart. I tried an episode of Bridgerton and I couldn't get into it, but I mean, you know, I might have to give it another go. But I'm not very far into it. I've read 70 pages, but I am enjoying it. So I will continue with that. So it's Monday night. We are here for another day and a half. We're leaving on Wednesday afternoon. So, I mean, my normal upload day is a Wednesday evening, but realistically, I don't know if I'm going to finish these books, edit the video, and get it up on Wednesday. But I might try and wrap this vlog up on Wednesday afternoon so that I can edit it while we're driving, right? And maybe get it up on Thursday. We'll see. We'll see how we go. But yeah, I should get another chunk of reading done tonight, and then yeah. But you know, I wanted to have a lovely wholesome time, and I'm having a lovely wholesome time. Wednesday morning. Luna and I are on our last dog walk because we'll be leaving here at around 2 p.m. today, and I'll be working up until then and then working in the car. So no, I will not be wrapping this video up here. See you in the north. One of these days, that's great, Lee. Yeah, well done. One of these days, I will film a vlog that sticks with the sort of rough timeline I have in my head. But once again, it has been many days since I last spoke to you. I think I spoke to you on Wednesday. It's now Monday night. It makes me so sad. I thought I had such plans for May, for like reading and this channel, and I forgot that May is just always a horrendous work month for me, and therefore not a huge amount of reading has happened. So rather than me constantly updating you on how little reading I was doing, I thought
I'm just gonna wait until I have actually had a chunk of time to read some things. So this will be the final update because I have finished 2 books. So let me start with Many Different Kinds of Love, which I'd already started talking to you about. In fact, I think I'd pretty much got through most of this. Are you okay? Yeah. Yeah. I think I'd basically covered a lot of this, I think, when I last spoke to you. But I just absolutely loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I can tell that this is going to be a book that I come back to again and again and again. It made me laugh. It made me cry several times. I just think Michael's got... He's such a wonderful poet. But in a really I was going to say accessible, but that sounds kind of condescending. But I just mean his communication is so clear that there's no guessing about what he means. Do you know what I mean? And this was full of frustration and grief and hope and rage. And I thought it was extraordinary. I didn't know, at points he is writing about he mentions his son, and I didn't know that really sadly, Michael's son died of meningitis when he was 18. And he talks about that because he found him, and they were some of the really bits. But I just... Buy this book. Do yourself a favour. Buy and read this book. Shall I read you a little something? There was... So here's one. So that none of the poems are titled, so they all kind of run on from each other, and some of them are really short and pithy, and some of them are longer, and some of them are funny, and some of them are sad. This is one that I really liked. There are people on the internet trying to tell me that I'm a hoax, or I've been hoaxed, or I'm part of a plot, or I've been plotted against. It's all a trick to take away our freedoms and make money from masks or something. I suppose there's a way of thinking that clouds are a conspiracy against the sun, if you want. And I just... I love him. I love him. I love him. Yeah, I think it's great. He's got a new book out, I think, which sort of continues this. And I did see it in a bookshop this week when I was shopping, and I nearly bought it. But I try not to buy hardbacks unless I'm absolutely sure I'm going to definitely pick it up soon, because I have been cursed many times by buying the hardback of the book and not reading it until the paperback comes out, and then getting mad at myself. So I didn't buy it, but I will be checking it out. That looked like it was written as prose, more like a straight up memoir. But yeah, this just wonderful. And then I have also finished reading, which I think I briefly spoke to you about, Infamous by Lex Croucher. I really enjoyed this. It is not the sort of book that I gravitate towards or tend to read. But I really liked it. It was
it was silly and fun, but it had real kind of character and heart in it, and it was really about, you know, weirdly, similarly to A Song for the Wild Bill, kind of about like not sort of basing your self-worth on your outputs, your achievements, and sort of, yeah, it was kind of the overall vibe of it. But ostensibly, I can't remember at all how much I told you about this, but it follows two best friends called Edith, and Rose, in sort of Regency era England. Eddie wants to be a writer. This is Eddie here. And she's got real, like, Jo March vibes. She's, like, driven and a bit chaotic. And her best friend, Rose, is a little bit more, you know, traditional. A little bit more, you know, wanting to just have a nice life and to be settled, and doesn't feel the need to kind of, you know, be anything other than just who she is. And they meet a poet who Eddie has been obsessed with since she was like an early teenager, called Nash Nicholson, who I think I said before, he is like modelled on Byron. And he sort of takes Eddie under his wing to try and support her writing career, ostensibly, and sort of plot then happens. But yeah, it was great. It was really, really fun, and I'll definitely pick up other books by Lex. I know they've just published like an Arthurian legend queer romance called Gwen and Art Are Not in Love. So actually, no, I think it is not a romance. You're okay. Yeah, you can come up. It's okay. Good boy. Living up. There you go. Oh, the pillows have to be exactly right. God. Tell me your dog is your baby without telling me your dog is your baby. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it, and I heartily recommend it if you're looking for something kind of that feels light but has substance. I thought it was great. I thought it was really great. So I'm going to wrap up there. I have had a lovely, wholesome time with these books for different reasons. So to wrap up, A Psalm for the Wild Bill, cozy, sort of cli-fi, bit philosophical. The Michael Rosen was just sort of, it fills you with feelings both big and small, both personal and kind of like macro. You feel for him, you feel for his family, you feel for the people who work in the NHS, you feel for us all. Should that brilliant service ever be compromised or taken away from us? And yeah, that kind of definitely hit the brief. And then Infamous by Lex Croucher for a kind of more escapist romp kind of wholesomeness. But yeah, it was, I think I would be feeling the benefits of the wholesome reading a lot more if I had actually managed to like read them closer together or in a more you know, compacted time. But hey, life sometimes happens. If you are still here and you've enjoyed this video, please do like and subscribe to my channel. If you would like more of the same. Hopefully not more incredibly long and drawn out reading vlogs, but hey, can't make any promises. Let me know what you've been reading recently. Let me know your recommendations based on the fact that I've liked all 3 of these books. I'm like really panicking that I have also read another book that I've just completely forgotten. So if I have, I'm Hannah Lost the Plot for a reason, and if I haven't, then never mind. So yeah, I will be coming to you soon for another one of these challenges and various other bits and pieces of bookish nonsense, and be lovely to have you around. Have a good day wherever you are. Bye.